All right, today we have a really exciting session. We're going to talk about unlocking live cloud production. How many of you are doing anything with live sports, live production? A few of you. Okay, how many of you are working in the cloud? Okay, a couple of you. All right, great. You brave, wonderful folks. We're going to dig into how we make this magic happen. So let's do a speed round of introductions here on the panel.
Hi. Hello, everybody. I am Rick Gibson. I am the Vice President of Media and Entertainment and the General Manager of our Vyvx Broadcast Solutions business here at Lumen.
And I'm Stuart Lepkowsky. I run the partner strategy team for Telco, media, and entertainment, games, and sports with AWS.
Hey, everyone. I'm Andrew Reich, industry principal at Presidio. Same industry as Stuart. I'm not going to try and say it again, so we'll just say
And hi, I'm Gregoire. I work very closely with Stuart. I am the partner strategy for broadcast and sports at AWS.
And I will just add that Lumen Vyvx is sponsoring this session because we want to be able to share with everybody what's really happening in live cloud. So I want to start with you, Stuart, and tell us, like, how is the broadcast industry moving forward with cloud, live cloud?
Well, the time is here now. A couple of years ago, a lot of the industry was asking, is this viable and possible? So now it's happening. A number of live events continuously going on. We have all the customers' data, all the video ingest. Our Media Connect product, on cloud has helped enable a lot of this. So the industry is really adopting the change, and it's really becoming more mainstream. And we're getting less questions, is it viable, but more questions about, can we do this and how fast?
And what is the cloud really unlocking for all of this?
So a number of things are going on. Clearly your cloud messaging around storage, compute, AI, clearly playing a big role in this. Working with our partners to do this is a key play in this. And then the other thing I would say, the multi-partner play, so you have a core partner and then you have other partners that kind of surround it and stitch together to make it happen. And we all know that, live production is not just, a one-stop play.
When I know you say clients are starting to ask for this, is there still any shyness about, is this going to work? Can we handle this? Can we do this? Or are they've seen that it's working? They're hearing their colleagues, they're watching the industry.
Yeah, we're seeing live mainstream productions go on, live sports broadcasts. So, you can look at Thursday night and you can see that's happening. There's always going to be questions, how viable is it? Redundancy, latency, or, typical questions that come up. But we're demonstrating time and time again, that we're overcoming those barriers.
That it's the right thing to do. Andrew, so you're the systems integrator on the panel, that you lucky man. And you're deploying these solutions. I mean, we think that, the appetite is there. Are you also seeing the hunger for this and people jumping in?
absolutely. And I think, especially in sports, there's so much more desire for more content, more personalized experience, more streaming platforms out there, more ways to consume media. And with that demand, I think leagues and broadcasters and teams, want to meet their fans on that journey and provide them with more options for content. And when you look at cloud, it offers, a feasible way to produce more content at scale.
Well, what's slowing this down? Is there a deployment, a version of this that's causing some hiccups?
I think when you think about broadcast and television, ultimately it's an industry where these workflows have been done primarily the same way for years and decades. And, production trucks and the footprint has been pretty consistent in that regard. So all of a sudden in a 24/7 fast-paced environment, to talk to broadcast engineers and say, oh, there's a new way to do something that you've been doing for so long, of course there's going to be resistance. But I think to Stuart's point, over the past few years, there's so many more options out there. There's so many great use cases out there. And that flexibility really, I think, is starting to provide broadcasters, leagues, and teams with more of a assurance of this works. And I think this is a great way for us to grow our audiences and grow the content that we're trying to produce.
And so I'm just wondering, are there more, I know this is a strange question, but are there more executives or resources coming to the table with cloud in their job title? Is there just a different layer coming into the business now?
I think naturally with the evolution and emergence of cloud and how many more services and how the technology continues to grow and how it also really makes workflows more streamlined, whether it's video feeds, whether it's regarding distribution or contribution. I think executives are looking at this as, let's use this technology to our advantage. I think it's definitely a focus because ultimately if it can make their workflows more streamlined, of course they're going to lean in.
It's so cool. Well, Rick, tell us about how Vyvx is now integrating into this new world with your partners.
The first thing is, connecting up with AWS and ensuring that we've got, the throughput, the infrastructure, everything into the cloud, into, remote production. And then it's doing what we do best, right? It's the transmission from, the sports venues, remote events, and doing that at scale. Right. So we're able to, take multiple feeds and then get that into the cloud for remote production, which basically you're almost going from the camera, to production, as a direct connect.
Okay, that alleviates a lot of the pain points along the way. Are you now, though, in every stadium? Because you fall in love with a bunch of tools, people, a process, but then you get somewhere and they don't have it. So are you everywhere?
We are everywhere.
There's Rick, and there's Rick, and there's Rick.
We're everywhere. For professional venues, we're actually built into all the professional venues. And so, for colleges, it's a mix. It's a mix of we're built in or we're using, off-net capacity, at colleges. But there again, too, there's a lot of remote events, specifically international events or, events that aren't in a professional venue or even stages. You see with some of the larger events, the broadcasters will do, remote stages. And so then you have to be creative. We do everything from pulling fiber out of manholes and running up to a stage or, stringing it, across streets or in trees or whatever to get to those remote stages. So, we have an entire events team that's focused only on that. And with a multitude of, with expandos or we call ours transmission trucks because they're primarily used for, for getting that production work out from the venue and then back to wherever the broadcaster or the league is actually looking for it to land.
Oh, I love that vision of just seeing guys all over the place pulling fiber. I'm going to be a lot nicer to them when I see them. All right, Greg. Greg, just how does this Vyvx integration, work for you and feel for you, with what you guys are providing?
So, Vyvx is everywhere, at every sporting venue.
There's Rick, and there's Rick.
Which enables, they can do a clean handshake, essentially. They can take a clean signal with Vyvx and hand it over to AWS anywhere, for high quality, which enable then the broadcasters to pick the best software stack they want to use for a specific production, which is a big departure from, the past where you were using whatever was available next to the venue where you were. So the idea here is that broadcasters can really, design their production stack, work with a tool they love, run these tools on AWS, and Vyvx is going to make sure the camera signal is going to be delivered cleanly to AWS.
Yeah, and Stuart, jump in here because how is this impacting AWS customers?
Well, it's a game changer. We used to talk about the first mile and the last mile. I'm sure you guys, are very familiar with that conversation. So, with Lumen, and adopting AWS and becoming a partner, we've clearly addressed that question. And without their partnership and the integration with the other partners we have, I don't think we'd be able to really do this. And so that's a game changer. For customers to hear that not only does the cloud provide the infrastructure, but they have all the partners that are actually driving the productions, in the arenas and the stadiums, right? Straight from the production crew, the pulling of the fiber sounds small, but it's actually a big component of it. The control room at the facility, all the way straight through the consumers. It's pretty incredible. Customers are now coming to us and going, do you have an example of where this has happened? And when we make the references, you kind of look at us and go, really? Like that was, no, come on. I was watching that game. It looked the same. Of course it looked the same. You're not going to see the difference that you were expecting a couple of years ago. And some of those, I think, more mental challenges. Look at the amount of revenue that's driven through, live sports, right? And so there's always, that concern about redundancy and risk reduction. But again, we've proven that, and our incredible partnership with Lumen to do that, to me is a game changer.
It's just a tool set that's working. So, Rick, what's the pressure like for a big game? And we have a couple coming up in the U.S.
Absolutely.
So what's it like? Because even smaller, franchises are going to be facing all of this, but you got the big game in front of you. What's happening?
Well, you can tell there's really no pressure because I'm actually only 24 years old. So, no, it's it's all in the preparation, right? You really have to, look at how you're preparing, what you design for the event, especially when you're looking at big events. A regular season game, is, I hate to say it, but it's almost automatic. You already have the infrastructure built. You have, diverse paths. You have automation. You have all that good stuff in place. Whenever you look at the large events, you take it to another level, right? You're going to build out more infrastructure. You typically have additional broadcasters. For a single game, there's usually maybe a couple of rights holders for that game, but for the events, you've got international rights holders, domestic rights holders, multiples. And so you've got to have that. You've got to prepare for all of that and have that at a reliable stage to where you're not going to experience issues. No matter, it doesn't matter if you have, a fiber cut in that market, a fiber cut in the long haul, a satellite issue, or should I say an uplink issue. You've prepared for all of those contingencies and then have that game plan, launched.
Well, it's not, I don't know. In my world, doesn't stuff always kind of go wrong by accident? So
exactly.
But you guys have, so you're the integrator, right, Andrew? So for you, knowing that these are the pieces in the puzzle, does that make you relax? Are any of you relaxed when there's a big game?
No.
Well, I think, and going back to, I think that's where the connectivity, not to put pressure back on Rick, but with this, from being involved in a lot of these different projects and sports in the past, I think when you have that solid connectivity, things will work, So I think that it's important to also make sure all the pieces are working together with that connectivity. And then that's why the testing is so important. And that's why, going back to your first question about the adoption, since this has been proven out and tested and shown that this can be done for bigger events, I think people are more willing to try. And, the stress testing in different stadiums and venues, that's where I think it's really starting to earn its keep, because the connectivity and the lumens are helping to give that peace of mind that this will work.
So everyone understands we need to test this pipeline and keep doing. So Greg, can you just walk us through, because I think we all understand the pieces, but walk us through, the signal leaves through Vyvx. What happens next?
Yeah. So Vyvx, takes the camera signal from the venue, delivers the clean signal. So before you do any production to your camera signal, delivers it directly to Media Connect. On
That's AWS.
Yeah. That's our layer, video transport layer. And there, that opens up, any opportunity you want to work with other solutions that have been built on the AWS infrastructure. So once the signal is there, it lives on AWS, and you can do what you used to do with a truck, which is produce your game in a traditional manner, but you can also try new things because the signal is where you need it to be. So I think one of the very powerful things with this model is the ability for broadcasters to try new things during a season. It's not a major investment to try a new graphics package or to try new fan engagement features in your live broadcast. Try vertical streaming, for example. It becomes something you can do on a weekly basis, to really fine-tune the media product you are broadcasting to your audience.
So for the changing audience, because we've been hearing this discussion the last 2 days here, but audience behaviors are so different now. Screen sizes are different. When and where, how short, even though I know a lot of our franchise friends wish everyone was sitting in their living room, they're not, right? So all these different types of signals, is it still safe in your environment? You have more different things coming in?
Absolutely. I mean, we still
things, by the way, is a very scientific word. And it's our technical term, yeah.
Still have the same things coming in. We start with, the camera signals. This doesn't change. And then we are creating, we have the ability today to create different versions for different audiences of the same show, but we do it at the end of the production process. So you don't need anymore to produce like a traditional 16:9 broadcast and a 9:16 vertical format for.
You can just send out the big signal and they can do what they want.
Part of the infrastructure we provide will be transforming this main production into different flavors that can be consumed on different platforms based on where your fans are.
Huh. And Stuart, for you, what is the cloud bringing to the table that couldn't be there before? Because if we're going to make this investment, what else are we getting out of it?
So what you're starting to see, which has become a part of our mainstream, if you just look at social media, for example, last night you guys watched the Vegas Knights. They came from behind, ended up winning the game. Today on my social media platform, I didn't see the game. So these types of things now are streaming off of the cloud. You have the live broadcast. You can go to social media clipping. You can go to the vertical view pretty instantly. A lot of our partners are doing direct connects at the social feeds, and then you have that personalization going on. So if you look at what the game changer in cloud is beyond our traditional business, it's opening up new doors, new markets, multi-language. A friend of mine told me that he watched the same clip in French. He said, I just went on my Instagram to be set up in French. He's my French friend. But you have the multi-language approach and just different types of things going on that we didn't see before, or if we wanted to do before, we're not reachable, high cost. I had one partner told me they could do 27 languages. I mean, think about, the game last night, a highlight clip. It's streaming, B, it's on broadcast. And if you look at the other end, it's all on these social media platforms. It's extending, your advertising reach and your marketing reach. So it's opened up a lot of doors, and it's happening quicker, faster. And I would say, just one last thought is, it used to be business you do in your mainstream, high-end sports, right? You're now seeing this reach stretch out to college. You're going to see it happening on the high school level and other sorts of club levels, and you're going to see more and more sports content arriving and more of these.
I was going to ask you guys that. So is it affordable for colleges and even high schools and all that stuff? I mean, it's so impressive what you're talking about, but can smaller people, not shorter, but I meant.
I think that's where all the options and the flexibility. And there are so many. What's great to see is there are so many vendors and partners and folks in this space that are getting into this where, you have all-in-one solutions. You have the traditional, all right, if you want a switcher, use this ISV, or if you want replay, use this. But you have all-in-one solutions as well that are making it easier for colleges and high school. A great event at SVG Summit, the College Summit, SVG does, you're starting to see so many universities and athletic departments. It's awesome to see the evolution over the years. Years ago, people would get scared when they would hear a vendor mention in cloud. But now you're seeing these athletic departments who are actually reshaping their tech stack to support cloud, which is enabling more students to get involved. Now, maybe they don't have to, because you can do it remote. Maybe you don't have to get to school in August to cover the football team. You can handle some of those remote options from home. So I think it's really neat to see how universities, colleges, athletic departments really are leaning into all this, because it also gives more opportunity for growth in the industry.
It's an interesting point that it brings up. So your staff now can operate on the cloud and not be at the event. So you may have, secondary participants that used to fly around the world, bring into an event, right? I'm sure you're seeing this all the time. Now you can have, event operators, and other operators, be remote, not have to move them depending on the event. So we have a number of events where we've done this. We had one last year, that I heard about where, they normally would have brought 1,000 people in and they all operated from home.
Huh.
And look at it too from a cost saving standpoint. They're not having to outlay all this capital, for production equipment, for even for the transmission. I mean, because you're only utilizing it when you need it, and so that's a great thing. It's you don't have to have a bunch of capital tied up. You don't have to have recurring costs tied up all the time.
So if someone wants to leverage this stack, do what you guys are doing, who do they start with? Do they go to AWS? Do they come to Vyvx?
Either one.
Either one?
Yeah. I mean, we, as we partnered, it doesn't really matter where you enter to or from. We're going to come and get your content, and we're going to get it to AWS, and it's going to be done secure, reliable.
So forceful.
I know. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do. So.
And have you guys seen the same thing where people call you and they're a little lost because it's new for some people? So.
And that's why we have Andrew.
The integrator.
We, at AWS, we provide the infrastructure, and all these systems run on our infrastructure. We have very smart people who know the industry very well, but we also rely on our partners, especially the specialized SIs who know everything in this industry and can transform, a great idea, let's do cloud production, to a reality for our customers.
I'll tell you, a differentiator is, and I'll pitch the partner story a little bit. So our partner program is bringing partners together that are now more designed to work together than organically tripping over each other at events. And they may have seen each other, time and time again. We're actually putting it together into a pitch so that when executives are looking at why would I go to cloud and what's another differentiator, it's not built for you end to end. So, I look at this industry as a bunch of little mini Legos. Some industries have like mega blocks. They go to one vendor for everything. Yeah. It's a lot of little Legos. And our story is about weaving those Legos together with our partners so that customers can come, and when they ask, how do I do this and how do I do it quickly? We've thought through it, we've built it, and we've proven it with customers.
That's so great. Do we have any questions from the crowd? I don't know if we have a mic set up, but do we have any questions? Yeah. Yeah, you want to come closer to me? Come closer. Don't be shy.
We'll repeat your question.
I forgot to get it. Well, she's coming with the mic. Yeah. I am scary, I know, but I'll introduce you to my ex-husband and he can tell you. So, yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay. I'm from a different region of the world. I don't know much about the cloud or the remote production here in the United States. Do you feel that latency is the biggest problem the clients are facing, or they are shying away from it? One question, and probably you can answer that first.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can take the latency question. Yes, absolutely. I mean, latency is probably, it's tied with reliability as the first question, that we get, right? And the way we've built the network, typically, including encoding, we're usually looking at sub 20 milliseconds in latency. So, we focus a lot on what the network can perform and how we can actually do that from a reliable standpoint.
Okay, thank you. My next question is that if I ask you what is the biggest advantage of cloud sports or remote production, is this the cost or the reaching out different type of consumers on that?
Did you say the advantage or the disadvantage?
The advantage.
The advantage.
You guys want to take that?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about
Because it's cool. No, go ahead.
No, we've been talking about this. I think we've described it. I'll answer it again. You have a broader reach of customers, right? Before, you couldn't do as much multi-language as you could. We're opening doors for different things like on the social side of the house, the retail side of the house. You now have connectors. You're watching a sporting event. When was 20 years ago, could you actually order something while you're watching an event? You're now watching an event. You actually go to the retail side. It opens the door there where you can order things and purchase things. So you have that all tied together. The advantage of cloud, our reduction in cost. And the other thing we do is through our services, right? We're every day introducing new services. So each year you can hear about services being introduced, and that makes these services available to our partners and customers so they can move faster. So now you have the speed and the agility of operating more and standing up more productions. A number of companies have come to us and said it's pretty incredible. Before I had to worry about how many trucks I had. Now I have to worry about do I have enough operators and where are they going to be, and I don't have to move them. Right? They can operate from home. And so depending on the event, you can spin up a truck from home, do that, within a couple hours or days, test it out, and then you're ready to go for an event. So you have agility, reach, and it's opening new doors, right?
I think,
and then there's cost, right?
I think too, on that point about what you said about production trucks, I think the scale and opportunity as well, because you're not tied to a physical space. Being a broadcast journalism major and starting my career working for a broadcaster, if I wanted to learn graphics or how to edit, I would have to go to an edit bay to learn how to edit video. Whereas now I could spin up an edit machine from a computer right here and I could edit in the cloud. And I'm not tied to a physical space. I can still contribute to production. One of my, favorite things is learning graphics. I learned how to operate graphics in the cloud, not being in a control room. So I think it offers more opportunity because you can spin up the tools, if you will, to access them from anywhere.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, that this is global, right? Because one of the biggest questions that's come up in this summit is how do I bring the fan to the stadium if they're all over the world? So a lot of what you're talking about here is we're going to be able to bring this to them. Do we have we have time for one more question? Yeah? Anybody? Yep. Yes. Clark Kent over there.
He does look like Clark.
It's like compliment things. So I'm a broadcast director, multi-camera. I'm a bit late. I don't know, did you guys discuss it or not? But what I faced, I have experienced doing a couple of productions remotely or having people remote and the main point that I faced a lot, it's like when you don't have a person next to you to talk to or like go to other room and like just reach out. I feel like my question is about, do you guys doing something in the direction to like social part to make people feel more connected on this, like when they're on distance? So because actually, when you just can approach someone, here's some channel from the communications or stuff. So this is point what I was facing a lot. Like I was doing, from Ukraine, from Kiev, the directing show in LA, have a camera guys and stuff. But sometimes if someone don't hear me and I can't reach out personally, it was like a big issue sometimes. So yeah, this is the question.
So operationally, you're lonely. But also you're talking about staffing and resourcing. What do you guys say?
It's a good question.
So I think, first, cloud production doesn't mean people spread out over the world. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Depending on the type of production, you might very well have people doing cloud production from a truck. It's not, incompatible. We are looking at every tool that enable communication within a team. And, that's, for example, for the Olympics, you have a lot of the commentary that's done, for the US broadcast, that's done in the US. So the commentator is not with the team. So they have cloud-based intercom system that enable communication that are very similar to ones you have in a truck, but that are also, living on AWS today. So communication, tools, it's also the ability to see what other people are doing. When you're all in the same environment, you can look at the screen next to you and you know what your graphic operator is doing. So there's a need, for multi-viewer, for having access to the screen of your colleagues, so you understand what everybody is doing. But this is I don't think this is any longer a barrier to doing a C1 production.
It's an adoption. Visit the booth. We have comms in there now, so you're gonna see that. Everything you see is first a challenge, and we learn from customers like yourself. It's a part of what we do. We're customer obsessed. We listen. We work backwards. We have similar things. So now you have comms, and come over to the booth. It's actually being demoed there, and you can see it. We continue to listen. So the feedback is incredible, and I do appreciate you bringing that up.
That's great. Well, we have to wrap the panel, but let's have a hand for everybody here. So they'll be around after the panel, and also go to their booths. If you want to dig into this world, it's so possible right now, and these guys will help get you to the right people to help you do this. And baby steps to whatever it is. All right, everybody. So thanks so much. Unlocking Live Cloud Production. Thank you, Lumen and Vyvx, for bringing this conversation to NAB.
Thanks, Lori.